All right, so I am flying solo this morning. Last, I guess, fall, we were trying to get Victoria's passport, and we had a trip that we wanted to go on, and we were kind of rushing to get it, and it just wasn't working for us. The one location, the one passport office wouldn't take us because we were walking, and then we didn't have the right birth certificate, and then the other location had like a 2+ hour wait. She was a newborn at the time, so I was not going to wait in line for 2+ hours with her. So we just kind of gave up the idea of trying to get her a passport. And now, though, 2023, we have a couple trips planned and we need her passport for it. So I think I've got all my ducks in a row. I think I've got all of the proper documentation. So I'm hoping when I go all the way to the downtown passport location office, everything will be okay. Victoria is currently napping, so I was just watching her. So I've got like a little over 2 hours to try and get this done. So it's a bit of a drive though for me. So let's hope. I did it. I got her passport. 3rd time's the charm. So it's almost 12 o'clock. I literally have to rush home so fast because it's almost time for her nap. So let's hope I get in time for her nap. But yeah, success. So I've made it home from the passport office. Kind of surprised I made it home in time. I've got 5 minutes to spare until V needs to go down for her nap. So my plan of attack is I'm going to put V down for her nap. And then I want to create a series here on my YouTube, kind of taking you through all of the details of creating like self-portraits at home, because I do a lot of self-portraits at home of like myself, of V, of our family, and I really do believe in creating family self-portraits, because the thing is, if you know the mom's taking the photos or the dad's taking the photos, then you're kind of missing something, because then you don't get the whole family together. So that's why I really do love taking family self-portraits at home. If you go on my Instagram, all of those family self-portraits, family photos that you see of my husband, myself, and Victoria, they're all self-portraits pretty much. So I do really believe in family self-portraits. So I want to take you through everything you need to do, everything you need to know about creating these family self-portraits at home. So after V goes down for her nap, today's video is going to just talk about the basics, kind of starting from there. And it is all of the tools you essentially will need or gather to create these self-portraits at home. So let's do it. I'm good to go. Victoria's down for her nap. Hopefully she'll give me a little bit of time. I am going to talk a little bit quietly, but hopefully you can't tell in the audio just because she is just in the other room. But like I said in the car, I really want to create this series where I take you through how to create self-portraits of your family at home really easily. So let's get into it. So obviously one of the tools that you're going to need for this is a camera. Now you can go from really basic to something a lot more advanced. So starting with your phone, everyone has a phone these days, iPhones, Androids, they all take really nice photos and videos. And so you really could just use your phone and just start with that. Some of the pros with using your phone is they are very accessible, they're very easy to use. Like I said, they take really nice photos and videos. The cons, in my experience with using my phone, is the self-timer function, especially from a self-portrait perspective with a little one. Having to constantly go back and forth because of the timer on your phone that you're kind of limited to with using it is really annoying, because oftentimes she just ends up getting fussy because I'm going back and forth, and you can only take like a single photo at best when you are doing that. So it's definitely a con when you're using your phone, but if that is what you have, then great, use your phone. If you wanted to kind of go a step up, you could use something like a point and shoot camera. I have just like a Canon M100. I bought it back like a couple years ago. It does take really nice photos and video. It's kind of a step up. I can take self-timer photos, I can do self-timer, or I can do continuous. So I have a little bit more flexibility in sort of the options on how I go about taking the self-portraits. And some cons, of course, when you're using something like this is, you know, you do have to invest in that kind of extra piece of gear. This was about like $300 a couple years ago. Now they have the M200, so it just does add an additional cost. As well, low light with the iPhone and this isn't the greatest, and you're not really going to find low light photos using your iPhone, or a point and shoot camera is going to be very good. But it's definitely, if you kind of want to have a little bit more manual control over your photos, create something a little bit better than iPhone images, then definitely get something like a point and shoot camera or just a small camera like that. And then lastly, we have the camera I actually use for all of my self-portraits, and that is my Olympus. So it's OM Digital Solutions now, but I use my Olympus EM1 Mark II with most commonly the 12 to 40 millimeter lens. I love my Olympus for self-portraits because I have so many options. I can do a self-timer, I can do continuous, I can create a time lapse. Because of the video quality, I could also take a video and just screenshot it afterwards. So I have so many options with my Olympus. The photo quality is just amazing, as well as a lot better in low light, but it does cost. You know, that is a con with something like a mirrorless or a DSLR, is it's going to cost you a chunk of change. I bought mine a couple years ago for around $2,000, which is a hefty price tag. So definitely just work within what you have. If you have a phone, if you have a point and shoot, or maybe you have a DSLR or a mirrorless kicking around the house, or you have a family member that's just has one that's just kicking around the house, just use what you have. So that is definitely just number one, is you're going to need a camera. Number two, you're gonna need a tripod. Now, kind of going from very cheap to a little bit more money. Very cheap, you could just do like a mini tripod and put it on a chair, or do a selfie stick and put it on a chair. Right now, you are currently sitting on a chair. I just have my chair, my dining room chair, a little Ulanzi tripod, and then my camera on top of it. And this is a good setup if you don't want to spend a lot of money. This is definitely, it'll work. You could also just do a selfie stick. I have a selfie stick back from when I went to Greece like 3-4 years ago, and it's very basic. It basically just pops my phone into the selfie stick. It's not very tall, so you would need like a chair or something underneath it if you kind of want full body, or depending what you're going for. But it was very affordable. I think it was only like $20-$30 off of Amazon. If you do want to spend a little bit of money and maybe you want to get yourself a tripod, then there's definitely options there. I have two tripods that I kind of interchangeably use. One is my Manfrotto tripod. I've had this for a few years. It's very lightweight. I've taken it on a number of trips. It's kind of going though right now because the legs, I think I just need to tighten the legs, but the legs kind of don't stay out right now, so it's kind of annoying to use. The other one I have is my newer tripod, and I got this like a couple Christmases ago, and it's just a nice little tripod to have around the house. It's a little bit bulkier than my Manfrotto one, but both tripods work great when I am doing self-portraits here in the house. But the thing with, you know, going with something like that is it is a little bit more expensive. I think both tripods were around $200, so that is like an additional chunk of change if you go that route. But you definitely could go the route of just using a chair and something like a selfie stick on top of it, or kind of a middle affordable option would be the Ulanzi MT47 tripod, because this tripod, as small it is now, it actually extends by another 6 inches. So you definitely could do something like that with a chair or a stool underneath it and get a little bit of height. Number 3 is some sort of accessories to help make your kind of self-portrait easier on yourself. So one of the cons with using your phone is that you're limited to the self-timer function, and if you're constantly going back and forth, that's pretty annoying. So what I would suggest doing is getting an accessory like a Bluetooth remote, where you can remote activate your phone from where you are. That way you're not going back and forth. Alternatively, if you do have something like a point and shoot camera or like a DSLR mirrorless, a lot of cameras these days have like a Camera Connect app where you can control the camera from your phone. So with my Olympus, it's great because I can change the settings from my phone. I can also change if I want continuous or a self-timer. I can't quite change a time-lapse function off my phone, which is kind of a hack that I do for creating my self-portraits. But definitely connecting it from your phone is a go-to option, and oftentimes when I am doing my self-portraits, I'm using either a continuous function or a time-lapse because I don't like going back and forth between where I am and the camera. I try to do it as little as possible, just to make it easier on myself and everyone that's involved in this self-portrait. And then lastly, lighting. Kind of going again from cheapest to paid, you have natural lighting, which is great. It's beautiful, especially during that golden hour and you have that golden-esque look to it. Natural light is great. The problem with natural light is when you don't have any. So of course in the winter time, I'm in the thick of winter, so I don't have great natural light, and also my house doesn't get great natural light. I have all my windows on this side of the house, and so I just really don't get great natural light, especially in the winter time or in the fall. I get a little bit better in the spring and summer, and I do try to avoid using overhead lights in my self-portraits, but sometimes if I just need a quick self-portrait, I just have like less than 5 minutes to get it done, I don't have time to set up my actual light stand, then I will just use overhead light and I'll deal with it afterwards, because I really just want to capture the memory or just capture something. So definitely if you have natural light, use it. If you have to use overhead light, I would suggest avoid using it, but again, if you know it comes down to it, then you just make it work. And then you have an actual light stand. So in a lot of the self-portraits that I do, depending on the look I'm going for and how much time I have, I will actually set up my studio like light boxes. I have these sets from Newer and I've had it for a couple years now. It is what I use whenever I am taking these like monthly milestone photos, and a lot of the self-portraits I take, I will also use them just to help light my living room or things like that. I think it was like $160 for the two, so there's definitely portable light stands or a ring light that you could use to help add that extra light. So lighting is also very important with the self-portrait. I try my best to avoid those low light scenarios just because I know that the quality of the photo is going to be poor, but again, we're in the middle of winter. I don't have a ton of natural light. I'm just gonna work with what I have. So that is everything when it comes to creating self-portraits at home. Those are really all the tools you need to create self-portraits at home. You could go from very basic to just using your phone, a chair, you know, a very simple setup to creating your self-portraits, or you could take it a step up, use like a point and shoot camera or a mirrorless or DSLR camera with a tripod. You really have a lot of range, a lot of flexibility to work with what you have. So I hope you found today's video helpful. Again, this is just like part 1 of a very long series, hopefully, where I take you through how to create this beautiful family self-portraits at home. If you did like this video and found it helpful, then give this video a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.